Hello guys, up here today we'll be playing a bit more Pauper. Now we are playing a bit of a different deck, a bit of a fun deck. This is Persistent Petitioners. We have 16 of this card. This card does do a couple of things. First off, it's an advisor. Second, it can mill a player for a card for 1 mana, which is pretty awful. And if you tap 4 advisors, anyone, target player mills 12 cards. Now the interesting thing is that any deck can play any number of these dudes. So we could in theory play like, I don't know, like 40 of these guys and 20 lands, for example. That would be a legal deck. Now, in order to build around this card, there are a couple of things to consider. And first off is that if you just play Persistent Petitioners and no other advisors, then your deck is going to probably be really slow because now you don't have any 1-drops. So you get to play one of these dudes turn 2, then on turn 3 you play another one, and on turn 4 you play another one, and the 4th one if you have 4 lands, and that's just too slow. So in order to speed that up, we have a couple of 1-drops. We have 4 changelings, blue changelings, and 4 universal automatons, which are also changelings, and they are just 1/1s, they do nothing. Now these cards are pretty bad on their own, but the good thing is that they are advisors. Now, we could play in theory any advisor in Pauper, but the problem is there are not that many good ones, especially not 1-drops. So these will have to do. Now, these do look pretty bad, but trust me, they are necessary for the deck. Without this, then your deck would not be operational. Additionally, we also have 4 mass bundles, because this is also an advisor. This is also 1/3. And it gives us another way of using our creature base to do something, right? Because otherwise all of our creatures do nothing. So this can be useful to kill like a land for affinity or makeshift munitions or stuff like that, or maybe pestilence. So it's really useful. And generally speaking, with only 1 or 2 of these Persistent Petitioners, you are just fine. Because you don't need 4 of them to be able to activate, you need 4 advisors. So I think this split is pretty good and it works pretty well in the matches I practiced. So that's pretty good. Now for the rest of the deck, we have a bit of more support. We have 4 brainstorms. Now brainstorm normally requires you to play shuffle effects. We have 4 Ash Barrens and 2 Broker's Hideout, which can go fetch any of our basics and gain a life. But it also does work well with Persistent Petitioners because we can mill ourselves for 1, cleaning our brainstorm. That's also pretty interesting because we also have a couple of cards with flashback, like Moment's Peace and No to the Bone. So these cards are more useful in our graveyard than in our hand, basically. So we can use our own Persistent Petitioners instead of milling our opponent to mill ourselves. And that way we could get the benefit of also milling these things out. So sometimes against aggro, for example, we first mill ourselves a couple of times, make sure that we have enough Moment's Peace that we can try to tempo our opponent out with Fox. No to the Bone also really useful since most of our deck are creatures, or like rather half of our deck are creatures. This can gain like a bunch of life, like 20 life, 40 life. 40 life now, but 20, 30 life. So it's pretty good and also works from our graveyard, so that's really good too. And then lastly, the last piece of card draw is Winding Way, which can you choose a creature or land and you reveal 4 cards and you put all the cards of the type that you choose into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. This means that we normally, if we are running low on creatures, we just say creature and we have like on average about 2.5 creatures that we're going to find with this, which is pretty good, you know. Draw 2 cards, mill 2 cards is pretty useful. And additionally we have the added effect that we can mill also the Moment's Peace and No to the Bone, which works pretty well. Also additionally we can say land with this to mill creatures for our mass bundle or our No to the Bone, for example. So it has more applications than it looks, and also it's a nice way of refueling. Now in the mana base we also have a couple of growth chambers. These are pretty useful because we need to have mana to deploy 2 2-drops on turn 4, and that's difficult to do with only 19 lands, so this does work pretty well. In the sideboard we have a couple of interesting decisions. We have 1 deep analysis and 2 memory labs. These are kind of catch-all cards that are pretty useful from our sideboard, especially against decks that Moments Peace or Now to the Bone aren't useful. We can bring this in. Deep analysis is also really good if we mill it, but it can be a bit slow if you have it in the main deck. That's why we have 1 on the sideboard. Then we have 4 Hydroblast against the red decks, which are pretty dominant so far, so that's pretty useful. Can also counter Makeshift Munitions or as well as Sandstorm. A couple of these spells, again, pretty good against instant speed interaction decks. There are a couple. And against red decks to counter some of the burn. 2 Fairy Macabres. These are useful against graveyard decks, like, for example, what's it called? Like Familiars, for example. And the utility of this is that first we can fetch it with Binding Way, and second, it's free, so we don't need to use our mana, so it's useful for our tempo strategy. And generally speaking, we don't need to just nuke the graveyard over and over again. We just need to have enough time to deploy our game plan, basically. So any time walk is pretty good. 1 Reverent Silence, this is a weird one. This is, if you control a forest, you can play this for free by making each other play against 6 life, and it destroys all enchantments. This is really good against Boggles, for example. It's really difficult for this deck to win with damage. It's something that it can be done, but it's like really rare. So normally our opponent gaining 6 life is not an issue at all, and having, again, a free spell that we can use to tempo our opponent out is pretty useful. Another Note to the Bone. We don't need too many of these, but having 2 makes it so when we mill ourselves we have more chances of finding it. 1 Weather the Storm against burn decks, especially the red-black burn decks where Hydroblast isn't as good. And one more interaction against artifacts and enchantments, which are pretty dominant so far in the metagame. So the Glimmer, or the Glamour, I don't know how to pronounce this, is really good at, at doing that. It can also remove a land from Affinity and circumvents the Indestructible there. Especially good against Kenku Artificer, for example. So that's basically the deck. Now we are going to go into some queue games and see how we do. See you there. Okay, so this is a weird hand. I think I'm going to keep it because we have our colors, we have Petitioners, and we have a Winning Way if we need to find lands. But it's not great. We don't have any 1-drops, so it's going to be a bit slow. That being said, I think it's good enough. Let's see what our opponent does. Okay, what is this? Okay. This is good. I mean, 4 mana is not that much. Normally this effect costs more, so that's actually pretty cool. I saw that card on Arena, but it was errata to have like to cost 5 in the activation cost, so it was like completely useless. I don't know if this is good, but it's really cool. A really cool addition to mono white, especially go white strategies. Okay, another one of those. They are worse in multiples, that's for sure. That's really cool. Oh, also I forgot to mention, I'm not using my face cam today because this is really early in the morning and there is a lot of sun, so it doesn't really work. So we'll start with one of these. This is the matchup of the ages. Okay, so they can only activate this on their turn, but they can activate it multiple times and at the instant speed, so we need to be wary of that. So this might be like a white Weenie strategy where they have a bunch of 1-drops and anthem effects. Okay, Search Party Captain, that makes sense. Radiant Fountain, we don't really care about that. I couldn't imagine a multicolor deck with this setup, so probably this has to be mono white. Journey to Nowhere is annoying, but we can destroy it with Mass Bundle eventually. Okay, Moment's Peace can be really useful later, but for now we are going to just play another Petitioners. We could go for Winning Way for lands, for example. But I think I'm going to do it next turn, so we can do Winning Way for land and Mass Bundle to destroy this Shonen. We are getting stomped right now. Let's see, if they have a +2/+2, is that the end of the world? Let me think. There is a +2/+2 for 3 mana and white. That would make it so right now we are taking 5, that would be 5 + 8. That's still not lethal. I think I still prefer them to use it now, because if they do, my petitioners die, so we can use the bundle. Skyfisher probably for the land, or maybe the captain to draw another card. Yeah, they are running out on cards, so probably. Yeah. Makes sense. They had a pretty aggressive start. No land though. Okay. Oh, the issue with Weenie for lands is that we need to find a green land for this to work. I think it's still worth it. I don't think we are in danger of lethal right now. Okay. So yeah, let's just play the bundle, destroy this. We mill also No to the Bone, which can be useful later. And next one we can deploy a Petitioners and use Moments Piece. Let's see what they do now. 4 mana, so they can activate their unicorns. I don't think they need to do it pre-combat because Visions doesn't matter. Let me think again. So if they have +2/+2, that would be, right now it's 5, 7, 7 + 10, right? So I need to block something. I think I'm going to just do something like this, or maybe like this, force them to use here. Well, if we are doing that, we can do this, right? If they do +2/+2, it still trades, or rather, it just eats 1. And if not, it's like 8 plus 8 + 4 is 12, +2, so it shouldn't be lethal. They do nothing, okay. Interesting. So they're not playing anthems. Battle Screech. That's a weird decision. I would prefer to not play attack with one of those. So what I think it happens here is that they actually had the +2/+2. They're just setting up. So for that decision, we are going to start with the Petitioners and fog this turn. And I don't know if milling ourselves or milling them, because if our mill serves, we can try to fuel this No to the Bone for later. Again, they don't need to do that pre-combat. Okay, so this doesn't matter, the damage is prevented. Now the question is, what do we do with this activation, right? We can do... Okay, sure. Oh, that's why they did it that way. Okay, makes sense. So if we activate ourselves, well, we have another Moments Piece for a Time Walk. So we can mill them. We can mill them again. Another time, another Moments Piece, and a third time, so that's 36. Yeah, I think it's worth it, at least this time, to start milling them. It's close though, but mostly because I have access to Brainstorm. Okay, they play Informant, Skyfisher, yeah, whatever, more or less what we already saw. I think I'm going to start with, oh, okay, that's not useful right now. We need to hold 3 mana for Moments Piece, so probably just Brainstorm. And maybe this turn we activate to ourselves. Okay, changeling isn't really useful right now, so I think we're going to just put 2 petitioners, shuffle, play a land. And this turn we are going to mill ourselves, and we are going to Moment's Peace them. We are going to still wait until combat because they need 2% lethal. Let them attack. And do we use Moment's Peace or we use this thing? I think we're going to use this no matter what. But we are going to start milling ourselves so we can use the Now to the Bone. Sure. Okay, they also play Thraben Inspector. This is the first time we've seen this card. They are going to flashback the Battle Screech. Yeah. Oh, that sucks. What do we mean? We have 6 creatures, that's 12 life. That's not going to be enough. Okay. We can do Winning Way for probably lands because we hang the creatures in our graveyard. I think that's right. That gives us 4 more looks. What do we find? A couple of petitioners. This gains now 14 life. Okay. Okay, now what we can do is... Okay, we can also mill ourselves for 12 more cards. So... we could play a land and a changeling. Or rather, just this growth chamber. I don't think the growth chamber is going to be needed right now, so let's just go with this and pass the turn, see what they do. Again, if they present lethal here, we can mill ourselves first and then use either Now to the Bone or Moment's Peace. Five mana, what is this? 4 mana, okay. There we go. Sure. Okay, now we mill ourselves. What? What's going on? Okay. Okay, there we go. I thought it was bugged. Okay, so we milled a Moment's Peace, and this Now to the Bone now gains 1 billion life. I think I'm going to just use this. Wait, 13 times 2. I'm not sure if it's lethal. I don't want to make the math. So just let's use another piece. Next turn we can play at least 2 petitioners. Oh wait, we also need to have 5 mana, 3 mana open. So okay, so if we play 2, we still have enough mana, right? Yeah. So let's play the petitioners. Let's play the Vandal, but don't use the ability because I don't really care. Now we can't mill ourselves anymore. So now we gain life with the Now to the Bone. I probably should have used Now to the Bone before. I don't know. I was probably wrong in that. But now what we can do is block first, so we don't take too much damage. I'm not going to use all of my things there. Oh wait, this is a 3-3. Okay, something like this, I guess. And now we use the Now to the Bone. We gain 26 life. That should be enough for this turn at least. Okay. Now we mill our opponent. Mill 12. And now we need to find another Petitioners in the top and cards of our library. A couple of brainstorms do help. Okay, that's good enough. Sure. I don't think I played that perfectly, but at least it seems to have worked, so happy with that. Bomba. And now we pass even with a moment's peace, so we even had a couple of time walks extra. And they die. Awesome. Okay, so let's check the opponent's graveyard before we sideboard. So they play Bugler, which is a weird one. Informant. Argivian Phalanx, that's a cool one. I love this card. I don't know if it's good or not, but... Oh, what? Kid King and Soldiers? Is this Soldier Tribal? Is this... Okay. Oh, what? Okay, let's see. We need Now to the Bone for sure. And we didn't see any Anthem effects in their main deck. 3 Macabre could be useful, but I'm not sure if I want to do that. The Now to the Bone seems pretty useful, that's for sure. We only seen creatures. I don't think we want any more stuff. They don't seem to have even much more interaction. So maybe we just got a bundle. The problem is bundle is good against Journey to Nowhere, but I'm not sure they are going to play more of those. Maybe they play like Holy Light or something like that. So for that reason I would want to cut a 1-drop. I just got 1 Brainstorm, because I don't think we have time to start doing nonsense with that. Still minimal sideboarding, because this deck is mostly teched against aggressive decks in the main deck. So okay, this hand is a bit dorky, but seems to have all the pieces we're going to keep. We can do 1-drop, 2-drop, turn 3 we fetch a land and play another 2-drop. Moment's Peace is really useful here. Okay, my opponent attacks for 1. They have nothing. This might be Mana Tithe, but I don't mind trading 1 for 1, being honest. I could also just do Brainstorm Shuffle, but I don't have anything I don't want, so... If you have it, I don't care. Okay. I'm not going to even attack. If they have Celestial Flare for whatever reason, I don't need to walk into that. So okay. I am going to block. If they have Celestial Flare, they are going to use the whole turn for that, and that's fine by me. That's why I thought. Okay, so we fetch a blue. We play that dork and we pass the turn. Okay. So this deck was created by one friend of mine. Big shout out to Mono. Thanks for the deck and thanks for sharing. I'm going to double block here, I think. Or rather here. No, I think this is more important to remove. You have +2/+2 again, it's just trading 1 for 1. Holy Light, that sucks. Doesn't change much. It just, yeah, I did okay in doing that. That's good. Okay. So my friend created this deck, and it took him a lot of time to actually come to a build that he liked. So I'm pretty grateful that he was kind enough to share it, because it's really, really cool. I think here I'm going to brainstorm first, because we are going to, if we find a land, to play 2 advisors and mill ourselves, so that way we can clean the brainstorm. We can bin this moments piece. If we don't find a land, it's kind of a disaster, but that's fine. Sure, that's okay. Now we play Automaton, and the Petitioners. We can pass the turn, just threaten to block and mill ourselves, get the moments piece in the graveyard and kind of clean our top of library. Though I'm not sure if I want to do that. I have another, I don't know. It's close. I think it's close. Oh, there we go. Let's see. We attack again. They can pump here. If they pump this, it's just 2/3. So we are going to just triple block here. Again, I don't care about trading because we have more petitioners in our hand, and probably we are not going to be able to have 8 advisors this game, at least for the time being, so trading is okay. Again, if they have a +2/+2 or a Holy Light, that kind of sucks, but it's fine. They just pump. That's fine. We trade the 1 for 0, that's pretty good. And they have another one, sure. I think I'm going to mill myself, mostly because I don't want to mill them like... Oh, they conceded. That's cool. Let's go to the next one. Oh, rematch number 2 against Luis. We are on the play. And this hand is pretty bad. I don't know. I think I'm going to keep it though. I don't think we can mulligan this. We just need like a brainstorm, and this hand is great. So we start with a changeling, and our opponent will be so confused. Okay, red deck, sure. Lava spike, sure. Brainstorm is good, but we can wait. We can wait. I'm going to keep the changeling back. I don't think we need to attack here. We're not going to win by combat. And if they have like a 2/2 haste or something, they might be inclined not to attack, to trade. Do they have the Serum Blaze? They do. Okay. And here I'm just going to play 2 creatures. This is a tough matchup, but we do have Hydroblast in the sideboard and a Weather the Storm, which seems to be pretty good against the Lava Spike deck, so... Chilling us, that's kind of interesting. They did have a land drop, so if they have a Serum Blaze, that can be really tough. Oh, okay, that makes sense. And a Bolt. We have only 2 cards in hand, so they need to top deck to win, in theory. Okay, let's start with Brainstorm. I don't think Moment's Peace is good in this matchup. At least doesn't seem so. I think I'm going to shuffle this Automaton. I need to find Petitioners here. Is there anything I would like to play here? Just in case I'm going to Brainstorm now. Oh, no. Moment's Peace, Automaton. That way we can draw the Automaton and play the Petitioners and the Automaton and shuffle in the same turn. I'm going to fetch now and play the land because I think we are going to mill ourselves first, try to find the Now to the Bone. Four mana, what is this? Double Fire Blast, yeah, that sucks. Nothing we can do against this hand. Sure. I could probably have milled them to see their deck, but I'm pretty sure I know what they are playing, so... let's see, Now to the Bone, Weather the Storm, Hydroblast Dispels, and we don't need Moment's Peace. Probably must bundle either. What else? We could play like Memory Lapse, for example. But that seems pretty bad, especially when we have so much of this. Mass Bundle is the worst of the changelings in this matchup. We do need a high number of creatures, but that's fine. And I want to keep the Wanding Way so we can find the Now to the Bones, or fuel it if you need to. I think that's fine. This is a tough matchup because they have so much removal. It's similar to Elves in that regard. Okay, this hand is really bad. If one of these two weren't an Ash Barrens, it would be fine, but having an Ash Barrens in play is really bad. Even if we have the Weather Storm, which is the best card against them, but I don't think it's worth keeping, so small. I think we mulligan again though. I can keep this. Okay, we keep this, and I think we need to put 2 back, right? We can try to set up a Brainstorm Winning Way. I think that might be worth it. So for that reason, we just put creatures back. I do want to keep... Oh no, wait. We do want to have a 1-drop, so let's do this. An interesting thing about this deck too is that changelings are pirates and also dragons, so they survive most of red wraths. Though my opponent might be on like End of Festivities or stuff like that. Okay, that's good. Yeah, let's start with Brainstorm. Put 2 lands on top. Play this. Next turn we can do Winning Way for lands, and we can make sure we have a land. Though I may just need to do creatures because I don't have any. I don't think having like 4 lands in hand would be enough. So they're on 1 land, and that's pretty good. They Needle Drop. Yeah, that's that's an anti-synergy if I ever see one. Yeah. Okay, let's just do... We know I have a land on top, so we really want to Winning Way now. So let's do this for creatures. We find 1 and we don't mill anything useful. this is really, really bad. Okay, they have another Swiss spear. At least we can deploy 2 petitioners next turn. Yeah, the mulligan to 5 is really bad against them, but I don't think it was right to... Okay. Oh, okay, they have Pyroblast, that's interesting. Normally, Mono Red doesn't want to play... Burn doesn't want to play Pyroblast. That's an interesting choice. Petitioners... I should have played the Forest, being honest. We might need to start milling ourselves aggressively. That's so lucky. They find the land because they didn't have lands beforehand. Yeah, this is over. It's sad, but yeah, every deck has a bad matchup. In this case, probably Burn is the worst one. Even I think that even the Mono Red I think that even Mono Red Kuldotha, for example, can be an okay matchup sometimes. They are a bit slower and more based on card advantage, which we don't really care about. And we can use our Fox. Here it's like, Fog is really bad. Okay, that's good enough. Yeah, let's go to the next one. Alright, I'm back. This had to be a tournament practice round because the 1v1 queue wasn't, the 2-player queue wasn't working, so sorry, it was a bit slow. Alright, this is a mulligan, for sure we don't have lands. Okay, this is fine. We probably ship this changeling since we don't have more blue sources. Now, well, I still think that the 3rd petitioner is probably just too much. It's a bit slow, but at least we do have lands, we do have petitioners, and we have the winning way to try to refuel. Just hope it's not Mono Red again. It's going to be Mono Red, isn't it? This is going to suck. Yeah. At least it was bolt to my face tail of Lava Spike. Sure. It's probably going to be very rough, given that we are not very aggressive with this hand. There are hands that are a bit more aggressive than this, like 1-drop into 2-drop into 2-drop and 1-drop, but yeah. Thermal Alchemist, now we have no way of interacting. This is going to be probably too bad. Too bad. Hideouts. I probably just play the chamber. Yeah. Yeah, this is already GG, by the way. Just playing it because I already started playing, but turn 2 Thermal Alchemist probably means GG. Unless my opponent is horribly flooded. We'll see. Lightning Bolts, untap. Maybe they don't have enough damage, but I doubt it. Skewer, untap. We go to 9 to 8. Do they have the Fire Blast? That would be awesome, because it would be just enough. Yes, I think they do. That's amazing. Oh, okay. No, they don't. Alright. Maybe they do it on upkeep for whatever reason. That would be such a bad idea, but maybe. Do we even play a thing? We can gain 1 life with the hideout, but if they have a bolt, that's still 5 damage. It's 4 damage for the bolt plus the ping. You know what? I think we just don't do anything. Oh, we gain 1 life. That's still not enough. Yep, let's just concede and go to the next. Or rather, play a land and pass the turn, I guess. No reason to cast any spells because we are already dead. It's very, very unlikely that we will beat this. And they have a spell, so oh wait, that's 2 damage, so steal. Okay, there we go. That's good enough for me. Rift Bolt. I don't have a way of answering that. Let's go to the next match. The next game. So now to the bone where the storm dispel a Hydroblast. Against burn, I like this spell. Against Mono Red Bulldozer, for example, might not be good enough. Moment's Peace, there's some amount of utility to this, but generally speaking, it's not good enough. I'm going to cut also this, probably the last bundle, the same saber that we did before. At least they don't know what we are doing, so start. That's a mulligan. Okay, this one is fine. Let's keep send Petitioners back. And just start with a changeling. Next one we do Automaton into Chamber. Maybe we get to play Magic here. Let's see. Okay, Lava Spike, that's fine. Let's play another Changeling. Pick up the land. Next one we can do Automaton. Automaton into Weather the Storm, or Automaton and Petitioners. Biggest issue is they might... Okay, Curse, that's okay by me, that's pretty slow. Yeah, I think next turn we do Automaton into Weather the Storm to gain 6 life. I thought about Curse, and that's a reason to keep the... Okay, they bought me? That's weird. Oh, okay, that makes sense now. They don't save the land drop, so maybe they sided out their things. Okay. Let's see. Sure. They did side in the Molten Rain. That's what I thought, because the only thing that we show was a growth chamber, so it makes sense to do that. Do we play the Weather the Storm or do we wait? They only need to cast 2 spells. 6 life is probably not good enough to survive, so we are going to just wait. If we don't need to use it, we can mill another card with the Petitioners. So mill for 13. And the reason I didn't want to show what we play is so they don't bring in like Electricity. Do they cast another spell? Maybe they don't. Smash to Smithereens. They did bring Smash to Smithereens. Do they know what I'm playing? I don't think so, right? Just gain life in response in case, just in case. We gain 9. We lose an automaton, but that's fine. Where are they bringing Smash the Smithereens? I didn't show anything, so... They're on 24 cards, so... They're not far from killing them. In theory, 2 turns. We are at 13 life, which is pretty high, so... Okay, we can start looking what they play. This is Rift Ball Hardcast. Okay, that's fine. So they are playing Steel Searing Blaze, Epic Cure, Kill the Marauders. Okay, it's kind of a weird build. Okay, we mill them. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay, so now they're probably going to bring in the... what's it called? Electricaries or End the Festivities. We probably want one of... Let's see, we didn't see Swift Spear. We did see Kill the Marauders. I don't know really what to do here. Okay, I think I'm going to keep like this. I don't think the mass bundles are good enough. Let's survive the cleans, the... what's it called? The Electricaries and such. I don't think they will keep... Well, maybe we're going to cut a couple of automatons for bundles. Just because the automatons are vulnerable to also the Smash the Smithereens, which they might keep. I don't think it's wise to do so, but they might. So, okay, we do have a Dispel. It's kind of a slow hand, but Dispel can go a long way, I think. I'm inclined to keep this, even if it's a bit slow. We go turn 1 Forest, turn 2 Forest Island, play the Petitioners, and watch it die, probably. Yeah, I'm going to keep. I'm not super sure about this. Let's just hope they don't have a very creature-heavy hand. Okay, a creature. But the Epic Gear isn't super great. We can block it with almost any card in our deck, so we have like 18 blockers for this. Oh, Kill the Marauder sucks. This is going to be 5 damage. I don't think there is any way we can do better than that. We can try to use a Petitioner to jump block. That way we have also a creature in graveyard for the max bundle. I don't think taking 3 damage for free is really worth it. So maybe. And we do have more Petitioners, so I think it might be fine to just jump block here, if they give us the chance. I think if they have a remove spell, they are inclined to use it. Like any bolt is better to go into the Petitioners and prevent the jump block. I don't think they will give us a chance. An option, I mean. They have a spike me. Pre-combat because they have the skewer probably. Oh, but they go my face. They have a land or something? They don't. Okay. And they only attack with that. It was probably better to just skewer my petitioners. It's still 3 damage, but this one more for the epic here, so it actually deals more damage and doesn't give me the option. If you have the ability to give your opponent less options, it's usually better to do so, to not give any options to your opponent. We bounce this, and we see how they find the land for the Molten Rain, probably. That can really suck. And we drew Cygnus Pro Chamber in every game, so they might think we have multiple of those, but we actually only have 2. So Molten Rain isn't even that good against us, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. We have the land for the Searing Blaze, as you do. Pingas, we go to 6. They have Rift Bolt, do they have a Fire Blast? If they have a Fire Blast, it's probably better to do it while I'm tapped out. Now we can play a Petitioners, an Automaton, and hold this spell. The spell is also good against Smash to Smithereens if they keep that in. Rift Bolt probably going face, I would guess. I don't think killing the creatures now makes much sense. Yeah. If we have a sorcery, we are dead, but maybe. Yeah, they keep it in. Weird. We have a Pyroblast or a Bolt. No, okay. Sure. Okay, Hydroblast. So we can play 1 Petitioners, hold the Hydroblast, and we can mill ourselves for 1, which is worth it in case we find the Now to the Bone. They find a land and Thermal. Okay. We can actually just kill it with Hydroblast, they don't have any more cards in hand. Mill ourselves and use it now. Okay. So now we can play Petitioners, mill ourselves, and try to find an Out to the Bone, and that's what they can do. Okay. I probably could have done that on my turn, I don't know. If they respond to this, we might be dead. Okay, we don't find any. Say creature. Only find 1 more Petitioners. Okay. I think. What could they have if they don't play it? Maybe a land? Might be a land. Or a Searing Blaze. If they have needle drop, they probably just attack. I think we pass. I don't think it's going to be needle drop. Pretty sure it's nothing. Oh, it resolved. My god, I was so so intense. Alright, we are at 27. This should be fine for us. Now we pass. We can start milling them for like 14. And this is already critical mass. Yeah, we got it. Oh my god, I was so close. Okay, I'm not going to play any more games. Let me show a bit more of the deck. So we didn't see much different matchups, sadly, but we've seen that it can be either aggressive or like defensive. We faced, if I recall correctly, 2 burn decks and a mono white deck. It would have been cool to play against a more controlling deck, but in that regard we also have too many creatures that all need to be answered. And an interesting thing is that even if you kill a couple of these, they can just untap, play 2 more and mill you out. So it can be really threatening. So I know it does look very clunky, but in practice it's very good. I played a couple of practice games, for example against Familiars, and that matchup, for example, is really lopsided to our favor because they don't have any way of interacting. The only way that they can interact is with either assembling a snap lock or a counter lock, but even that can be sometimes not good enough. Generally speaking, it's really bad for them. And right now the Mask Vandal is so good in the main deck. There are so many enchantments, random enchantments that you can kill even in blue decks, like for example the Modern Age. So it's really useful. I checked for more advisors and changelings. I don't think there are many more that are more useful than this. Sadly, we do have to play these 1-drops, which aren't great, but they are very important to have a nice curve. Then an interesting couple of things. Another things you could do is to lean more on the shapeshifter or changeling tribal and play more tribal random things. I googled a bit. I didn't find many things that I thought were like good enough. But you could play like Seraph Sanctums, which is a land that gains your life anytime an angel enters the battlefield, or like Scroll of Abassin, I think it's called, which is also a thing that you can. It's an artifact that you can pay 1 and sacrifice, and you gain 5 life, and you draw a card if you have an angel in the battlefield, which can be okay, I guess. But I think it's just speaking to play like Storm in that regard, or things like that. There are probably more tribal things you could play. I also thought about, like, for example, of 1 mind, but the problem is shapeshifters are also humans, so all of my creatures are humans, so of 1 mind doesn't really work, which is pretty sad because I think it would be pretty good for the deck. Now, a couple of things. Brainstorm, usually a bit clunky, but it's important to have that kind of hand smoothing stuff. We do have multiple things that we want in our deck. Sometimes, like for example, we have Moment Space, we can put it on top and then mill it. That kind of thing is kind of really good card advantage against the more slower decks. Right now we only played against aggressive decks, so we didn't get to show that up. But we can also board in, like for example, Deep Analysis. I thought about putting this in the main deck, but it's a bit slow. I think Weenie Way works very well because the amount of hits that we have are 28 creatures plus these 5 flashback spells that we can find. And as we saw, sometimes you just say land, so you can mill creatures for your Mask Bundle or Now to the Bone. So that's also really useful, and also useful to get, you know, your land drops, even if it's a bit of a higher fail rate, right? So all in all, pretty interesting deck. I think this is close to being really good. Probably, obviously, not going to be anywhere near a tier 1 deck for now, but it can be a role player. It's kind of a neat way of having an aggressive deck that also can be really good against aggressive decks sometimes. I think that against Burn is probably the worst of the matchups in the terms of aggressive decks. Most decks right now use the combat damage, so Moment Speed is good, but against Burn it doesn't really work. So yeah, that's on one hand. On the other hand, blue-green usually has really good sideboard options against aggro, like we have Hydroblast here, Now to Bone, Weather the Storm, that kind of thing. And against control, we do have a bunch of redundancy on our pieces, and we do have a couple of card draw spells that can be really useful, like Brainstorm, Winning Way, Deep Analysis, that kind of thing. So all in all, very interesting deck. I really suggest you play this deck if you have the chance. Really fun to do too, and it has more trick up sleeve than it looks like, so really interesting. Okay, that's all for me now. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.